uncouth.
What you're about to hear is for mature ears only.
It's Miguel Fuller.
I would show anything. I'd show my hee-hee and my hoo-hoo and my ha-ha.
Holly O'Connor.
Hey, Daddy, you want to take this to the bedroom?
And Scotty the Body.
I am officially not only the grill daddy, but I'm a hot grill daddy.
Oh,
It's the Miguel and Holly Uncensored podcast.
Only from Hot 101.5, Tampa Bay's new hit music.
Well, hello. It is us again for
Hi.
our Uncensored podcast. And thank you again to Scotty the Body, Jacob 2 times for helping us intro the podcast. And I like how sometimes he includes you, Scott, and sometimes he doesn't include you when he talks to us.
Crapshoot. You know, it's fine. I'm usually doing stuff while he's chatting. So if he acknowledges me, then I'll acknowledge him back. But if not, then I'll keep doing what I was doing.
Yeah, well.
I still love you. That's fine. It's just sometimes you forget I'm here. But I'm here. I've been here for a while now.
Well, if you want
Yes.
to help us out with the intro to the Miguel and Holly Uncensored podcast, you can always leave us an open mic on the Hot 101.5 app and just say, Holly, what does it sound like?
Let's say you're like, hey, I love Miguel and Holly Uncensored. Hey, Miguel. Hey, Holly. Hey, Scotty the Body. Can I get up in those DMs? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to say platypus posse. And I love you guys so much. Love, Linda from Lutz.
Boop. Boom. That's it. That's all you got to do.
That's it.
So just download the free Hot 101.5 app and we will get you on there on the open mic feature. Well, we wanted to spend some time today with a special guest that this is the first time we've actually had someone in studio.
Yeah.
And we're trying out videoing the Uncensored podcast so you can see it on the Miguel and Holly YouTube page.
Mm-hmm.
We have Chase.
Yes.
One of the first on-air personalities on Hot 101.5 back in the day. Chase, you're no longer with us.
No, I am. Don't get people confused.
What, are you saying he died? Like,
No,
what?
he's passed on. No, you are no longer on the air
Correct.
anymore. You started with us doing nights, then afternoons and middays, and now you're a corporate man.
Oh, fancy.
What happened?
That sounds corporate to me is like an old word, I feel. I don't want to use corporate.
It's a corporate thing to say.
Now
Yeah.
that Chase is in corporate, we're not going to call it corporate anymore, which I find interesting because Chase has always been sort of an innovator of making things fresh and new. So that makes sense.
That's so funny that you say that because we'll get into it, but we've got this team of people that are working, in all different markets together. We're like this digital dream team, if you want to call that, made up of like graphic designers and video production people and digital content, all that stuff. So we're trying to think of a creative name for this, I was thinking like nucleus of, something.
The nucleus.
Something where, so we're coming up with this name so that you don't call us like corporate, digital content team.
Okay.
I like that, sort of changing the name.
Yeah.
And you got to work the synergy of all of the markets. And then you got to make sure to piggyback off of
synergy. I like that. I like.
You want to make sure to loop all of us
You're
in
just
on what
using
you're
corporate
doing.
buzzwords right now.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's like if we could fit as many into a 10-second clip as we could, you win.
That's my favorite. Well, before we get to what you're about to be doing, thank you for what you have done for the radio station. What a lot of you don't know who actually live here in Tampa Bay and actually listen to Hot 101.5, the way we look online, out in the community, our logo, the Miguel and Holly logo, all of it is actually done by Chase this whole time.
Yep.
And you have really been a trendsetter in our company and in the industry because I've sent people to you that don't even work for our company, Cox Media Group, so you can sort of do some off the book stuff as a graphic designer. Have you always been involved in that sort of thing?
Wow. I mean, I almost gave up radio to go to graphic design school.
Oh, wow.
I was a part-timer. I was living in the tri-state area. For those of you that don't know that's New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. That's like the northeast area. And I was in radio for a little bit. I was at another radio company. And I just wasn't moving up the ranks. I was just kind of stuck somewhere. And I didn't know exactly what to do. I had another love, and that was graphic design. So I actually dropped out of radio for a little bit, and I went into a graphic design school in New York City.
Oh, wow.
But it was a very quick stay because listen, I went through everything. I went to a 4-year school. I got my degree. At school in New Jersey, and so I was already a couple years in radio, and then I left radio and went to this graphic design school, and I went through financial aid and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You did the whole thing.
The whole
You were like
thing.
all set, all ready to go.
I even got my bag. They give you like this, like almost this bag
orientation.
this bag with wheels that has all your art supplies.
Wow.
I kind of love that one. Like
Everything.
a little fancy bag.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is cool. This is, a new start. And it was actually located. This school was in it was in Tribeca, which is like downtown. It's in Manhattan.
Jay-Z sings about it in New York.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So I would have to travel there
Yeah.
by bus. I'd have to take the train from home.
Oh, wow.
So it's a big deal, commuting into the city for this graphic design school. And I went through everything and I sat down, and it was the first day of class. And I sit down in this classroom, and you have to take, these prereqs. You have to take drawing and all this kind of stuff. There's these kids in this class, and they're all young, and the teacher wasn't even in the class yet. And their kids were like fooling around, throwing pieces of paper at each other, and I'm like, what am I doing here? I did this already. Like, I went to a 4-year college. I went through it already. Why am I sitting in this classroom? And the tough thing about this was this school was directly across the street from this radio company that was downtown.
Oh.
So I would see these people I always worked with walking by, getting lunch, and they're like, oh, Chase, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm in graphic design now. Like, oh, and I just kept talking to them every day. I'm like, I don't think I'm doing the right thing.
Wow, yeah.
So I fell back in love with radio, and
Wow.
I dropped out of the graphic design school.
Now, what did your parents say
Yeah.
when you're like, hey, the secondary education I was getting to be a great graphic designer, I'm going to go
I'm gonna go
talk
ahead and
on the
stop that.
radio.
Yeah.
They were very supportive. They've been supportive since day one. And that's the thing with radio. My parents were really strict parents. They've kind of, laid back a little bit, as I got older, but, they believed that, it was important to go to college, to a 4-year school, and get a degree and all. And then when I went into radio, they're kind of like, is this a real job?
I think everyone's parents at some point have been like, okay, but that's cute.
Right.
Yeah.
What are you really going to do?
Exactly.
To
Well, I mean, 'cause
support
when,
yourself.
when you think about it, and especially before social media, when I feel like you listening and the Platypus Posse, if you follow us on social media, you see how much work goes into what we do. But like back in the day for our parents' generation, because we're all in our like 30s or 20s, for them, it's just that crazy person that talks between songs. How is that a career?
It didn't seem like, first of all, where's your job security?
Right.
Second of all, is this what you're doing with the place that we sent you and we're building? And then it's like, well, are you even going to make money to support yourself? Or are you
Right.
going to be moving back in?
How much
what
do
are
they
you
make
doing?
doing
Well,
that?
when I started getting them tickets to like concerts, they were like, okay, this is
Oh, yeah, they get the perks then.
Like,
kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
That's
yeah,
nice.
Like,
Salon Day
ooh.
Spa gift certificate. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I can see Kenny Rogers in concert. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Suddenly my mom was like, oh, I'll take tickets to see Taylor Swift.
Yes. I think they took it seriously when they saw me take it. I was taking it seriously. I
Right.
started as an intern. I was living in New Jersey at the time. And at the time, this radio station was located in Jersey City. I mean, our view was beautiful. We can see downtown Manhattan from there. It was just a gorgeous view. And my commute every day was pretty rough. I had to, drive on the highways and on the turnpike in New Jersey. And
Scary.
yeah, and I wasn't paid as an intern, so I had to pay for parking, and it was just like, I was just going backwards. I felt like I
Right.
wasn't, my parents were like, you get another part-time job and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I worked hard as an intern. I did everything, I helped out so many different departments in sales and promotions and marketing and programming. And I moved up quickly after the internship, which I got credit for in school. I got hired as a part-time street team.
I love
And
it.
they were called the party crew. And so I went out to events and, club gigs and retail gigs and everything under the
All of
sun.
it.
And in New York City, it's pretty tough because it's such a big city. I can be doing an event all the way out in the Hamptons or all the way in the Jersey Shore.
Oh.
And I always had to drive to the radio station, which was kind of centrally located.
Mhm.
And I lived closer to the Jersey Shore. So if I had a gig at the Jersey Shore, I'd have to drive to pretty much Manhattan, pick up all the stuff for the event, and go back to the Jersey Shore past my house. So it was an all day gig,
right,
you know. So
right.
I did everything. It was definitely, you know, seen by the managers there, and they were like, this guy's, you know, working his butt off. You know, he's doing a really, really good job. And they hired me into the promotions department.
I love it.
And that's just how I got my foot into radio. And I really wanted to see what programming was all about. And I had no background in programming at all. You know, the only closest thing I did was I was like a wedding MC for a little bit.
Right.
So
Wait, what was your 4-year degree in? Did you mention it and I missed it?
So I went to Montclair State University in New Jersey. I got it was under the School of School of Business, really.
He's like,
it was under hospitality and tourism. So I wanted to work in events. I wanted to be like an event coordinator for something.
Okay, so you getting into like the promotions aspect of radio, that actually wasn't that much of a leap.
Right.
With the degree that you got.
Exactly, because I got the credits from school. So, you know, the school had this really cool system where you give, you know, you put your resume in, and it has all the keywords on your resume, and all these jobs jobs come up, and radio was mostly on the
it's marketing.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't even think about that. Let me apply. So I applied to a bunch of radio stations in the city, and one of them called me back, and that was, you know, KTU in New York City.
Ooh, the big city girl.
Yeah.
KTU.
Yeah. So it was really cool to see, you know, radio in the #1 market is huge. I mean, everything is big. Everything is big. So I got to learn from a lot of people there. I have a lot of mentors in that city. And anyway, so I had my foot in the door in promotions, and programming was right there. You know, it was right down the hallway, and I see these studios and these lights and these buttons. You're like, I want to be there.
It's magical.
That's why it looks so shiny and exciting.
Yes, it's just amazing. And to have that view of New York City, you're just like, wow, I made it. But I didn't really make it yet. You know, I'm just in the building.
Right.
So, you know, of course I was in the street team still, and I would use that time. And this is when they let people go on the microphone when you're a part-timer. They don't really let you do that anymore, right?
No, I mean, Scott's like the last one. He's like the
last of the greats. Old schoolers.
Yeah, exactly. So,
which is going to F our industry up, but that's a whole nother topic.
Absolutely. What industry? It's fine. It's fine.
Yikes.
So I used that time to, you know, they'd give you the microphone, and you can go on as a part-timer and rep the station. Say, hey, KTU here, you know, we're hanging out, blah, blah, blah. And I wasn't even a DJ.
That was so fun, though. You're right. They used to do that all the time, and I totally forgot about that. Like, they want to make it sound like a party, whatever. You might be at like this rock bar that you didn't have any business being at. I'm speaking to myself. And and then they would just like shove a microphone in your face, and you better be on, or else like you're going to let them down.
Yes. And I remember when, you know, they auditioned people to be part-timers too at this radio station. They did like an American Idol kind of competition.
That was popular for a while back in the day.
They were looking for people that had charisma and can go on stage like Scotty and get on the mic and really promote what's going on there. So the people that were working on the street team were all the best of the best. You know, they weren't afraid to go, you know, on the microphone in front of hundreds of people, or even, you know, a couple people to promote the radio station. So I was, you know, still an intern at that point, and I went on the microphone, and one of the jocks I was working with, he's like, man, you're pretty good on the mic. Like, he's like, okay. He's like, you know, come in the studio, hang out with me a little bit. You know, we can work on some air checks, and that was that. That was pretty much that was it.
So that was your being born into the radio industry. So when did you move and start at Hot 101.5?
Whew, man, it feels like yesterday. I feel like I'm choking up because this is really emotional, man. This is this is a big chapter of my life. You know, this was back in 2012. I was another time I almost gave up on radio. Was living with my parents for like a good year, and I was a part-timer at another radio station. I was actually working in Philly on the air before this, and I had to travel like 2 hours for a 4-hour shift.
My God,
to travel 2 hours back. And listen, I traveled through all the elements, snow, rain, and it was a lot. 2 hours, no traffic. So just put it, you know, perspective.
Well, by the way, when you tell your little son this in the future, that's when you say you walked to the radio station and that it took you 5 hours to get there for your 4-hour shift
on foot.
And I did all of this for you.
In the snow
for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
You be grateful.
So that's
what
how
I'm
you
saying.
change the story later on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so traveling and I worked weekends mostly. I was like the utility guy. So anytime anyone was out, I was, I'd fill in for them, but mostly my shift was on the weekend. So I gave up my weekends for that. And that wasn't enough. I mean, I was just doing that job and I was living with my parents and don't get me wrong, I love my parents.
Of course.
But, at the same time I was 29 and I'm like, man, I gotta get out of here. I gotta figure something out because there was no movement at this radio station whatsoever. So, at that point, I almost gave up on radio again. That I went to go get a bartending license.
Oh.
And in New Jersey, you need a license to pour drinks.
Wow.
It's like $400, $600 to get the license.
Did you call 1-800-BARTEND? I remember those commercials in Ohio. There was like bartending school. It was the coolest commercial because they talked about all the drinks you could make. I digress.
Wow. Yeah, no, it was there's a couple of those. I used to live on Long Island too, and they had this catchy.
Yes, they're
bartending.
bartending jingles, and it made me want to be a bartender.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't go to any of those schools. I just found this guy randomly on Craigslist or something like that. He has his own bartending school, and I had to pay $600, out of my own pocket, which I didn't have.
Of course not on part-timer money.
No, and I went, man. It was like 3 days of learning how to pour drinks because I'm like, I got to make money somehow, and that's the way to make money, bartending.
Right.
Easy money. So, I'm on the couch one night and I'm looking through jobs constantly. And I see that there was actually an opening across the street at our competitor station, FLZ. And so I was, they had an open job for afternoons and I was, going back and forth with their program director and that conversation just stopped after a few weeks.
Right.
As they do sometimes.
Yeah. They just weren't interested, which is fine. And my friend Syke, who actually is on a radio station in Long Island with our parent company, he's like, hey, I got this buddy who just launched a radio station in Tampa, competitors with FLZ. Give him a call. And his name's Tim Clark. I go, okay. So I sent my resume and air checks over to Tim Clark and we were going back and forth and that conversation stopped too. And I'm like,
but that's how it goes in radio.
Does.
Like,
oh my God.
That is probably the worst part about radio. And what I've always said is you have like coaches to these $1 million, $1 billion sports teams, and they can hire someone that they're going to pay, $10 million a year in a month, 2 weeks to pay us pennies for what we do. They're like 5 months.
Yeah.
The 5-month interview process.
Yeah. And Tim was just, he was just requesting more air checks. And luckily I was a part-timer on the station in Philly, which I was able to provide. And he said, more air checks. I need more air checks. I sent him over 30 air checks.
Oh, wow.
And he said, more air checks. I go, listen to me Saturday night, 10 to midnight. I will be live. Just tune in, stream me.
How many air checks you need?
He wasn't sold.
Worst.
He wasn't sold yet until I just spoke with Tim too. And he's like, listen, man, he's like, I knew that I made the right decision when I hired you. So he flew me that week on a Friday. He's like, hey, do you have any plans on Friday? I go, no. He goes, I'm going to fly you to Tampa for an audition. I go,
oh snap.
First off, none of this, all that went out the door about radio. I was like, I'm going to Florida.
Yes, I love it.
I got my bathing suit, suntan lotion.
Right?
It's cold in Jersey. I'm like, hey.
Oh, God, I know that story.
I was like, I'm going for a radio interview. Sorry about that. So it was an audition on Friday. They put me up in a hotel and they actually put me on the air Friday night.
Wow.
I was on 10 to 11. It was really late at night.
That's cool though.
It was cool, but I was nervous.
Oh,
I completely butchered the station. I would say 101.5 The Hot or Hot 101, point. I did not say the station correctly in each break. I was like, I totally am not going to get this job.
Right.
And so I went in that night to the hotel. I'm like, oh man. The next day I had to go into the station when people were actually in the building. And I got to meet, all the GMs, all the salespeople. And that was it. And I felt like I had a good interview and I haven't interviewed in a while. I don't know if you haven't interviewed in a while, but it's hard.
And it's nerve-wracking.
It's so nerve-wracking.
It's like first date, but worse
Right.
because
Right.
your future hangs
Your
in the
future's
balance.
in that date.
Well, and
Yeah.
especially when you make that transition from sort of part-time to full-time and you haven't really gone through that intensive process, because it's a little bit different from when you're part-time and
Yeah.
they're just basically like, all right, we're just going to give you a chance.
Yeah.
But when you get that first full-time job, radio, I'm assuming, or anything, and that's your first big interview,
Yeah.
like it is scary as hell.
I don't know
Yeah.
about you guys, but the hardest thing is talking about yourself. Like
Right.
they'll ask you, so tell me a little bit about yourself. And I'm like, well, I didn't know where to start, and I didn't know what the proper thing was to say. I didn't want to say too much. I didn't want to seem like I was desperate. I just went in there. I was like, just be confident, be yourself.
Right.
You've worked a lot of years. You put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this.
Yeah.
Just be yourself. And that's exactly what I was when I got here. I just was, I was loud first off because I'm this boy, kid from New Jersey, and apparently I was really loud in this building. People weren't used to that.
Well, yeah. Before our station came on in this building, it was all sleepy, old time music for all of our radio stations outside of the classic rock stations. But it was, I mean, let's just be honest. It was older white people.
Calm.
Like that's who our building served back then.
A lot of the radio stations were that type of
Mhm. It was
demographic.
very
They were.
sleepy.
The only thing I could think is that like the Bone, which was it the Bone then, or was it
Just
still?
the Bone.
It was the Bone, but
It
it
was
was
the Bone.
classic rock.
But it was classic rock. But
Mhm.
they're the only ones who had these like probably bombastic personalities. And so the people in the building were not used to a music driven,
Mm-mm.
like a
Yeah.
this type of music driven,
No.
like jock that could like lead. And so you probably blew their heads open a little bit.
Yeah. And I was just being myself again. I was just being, I was happy. I was excited. I was nervous, and I was loud. And I mean, but they loved it. And,
Right.
and so I was going back to what Tim said to me. He's like, I knew when I hired you that I had the right person in that job because I had made this video. It was like my transition from Philly to Tampa, and I just got my iPhone. I was like so proud of it. Yeah, you can record videos on it, like really nice. I was like, this is cool.
I'm fancy.
Yeah, so I made this video of me just pretty much packing up my bags from Philly. Thanks, all the listeners saying, hey, Philly, I'm gonna miss you, and I'm moving to Tampa. And I did this whole thing, like I rigged this like stick to my iPhone before tripods and stuff like that were,
The fancy equipment we
Yeah,
have with ring lights
exactly
and everything.
ring lights all over here. I duct taped it to my phone. I just did this really quick 30-second video of me saying, bye, Philly, hello, Tampa.
Mm.
And Tim was like, I saw that, and I go, man, we got the right guy.
It's the
Man.
future.
Yes. He's like, the fact that he did that, promoting our station, like, this is the right guy. We made the right decision. And so, yeah, I got the job, and I moved down here in March of 2012. And I literally put everything in my Hyundai Sonata that I could fit in there. Everything in the
Wow.
trunk. I didn't have any furniture. I actually had planned on, this is before, again, like Offer Up and
Right.
Oh yeah.
what was all that stuff?
Marketplace.
Marketplace.
And let go.
The only spot was Craigslist, right?
Oh, I remember Craigslist, girl.
Yeah. So
But not for selling stuff.
Oh my Lord.
It was for other stuff.
Yeah.
But that's
the
fine.
people meeting people
Craigslist?
section. Is that what it
You
is?
know, it was
Backpage?
casual encounters.
That's what it was. Casual encounters.
Oh, girl, I remember that.
Pretty sure we had like radio bits about casual encounters.
We did, and missed connections, all that stuff back in the day. Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I went there for furniture.
Listen, I had some sofas to move too, so
Okay.
but they were just different.
my God.
But this is what I love, I guess being this age and like working with people for this long is you have basically this contrast of when you started, all of your belongings fit into one car 9 years ago. Now you are married, you have a baby, you have a house, you got a nice truck. Like, how crazy is that all of this went down basically because of this small little room that we're in right now?
It's unreal. Yeah. And for those of you that are listening and watching, my wife also works here.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I met her. And actually, the first day that audition I was down here, I saw her.
Oh.
And
didn't know that.
Yeah, I bumped into her. She said she wanted to come. Like, she knew I was in the building. She's not here to defend herself. She'd probably be like, no, you're not saying the right stuff. But I did bump into her. I was down the hall, and I looked at her. I go, wow, she's a really pretty girl.
Oh,
And she said,
There it is.
that's my future baby daddy. I know it, and I claim it with Jesus. Actually, I don't see Jenna saying that.
I really wish that Jenna had said that. But I
can see her saying that.
I claim it with Jesus. That man is mine.
And now, like, let the record show, please let the record show that Jenna was a hot tamale in the office.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. When we first got here, when we did, like a couple of years after this story happens with Chase, and I'll let you finish in a minute, Chase, but we heard the stories of Jenna and how every man in this building was fawning over her.
Yeah.
It was put into our heads early on because she was an it girl.
Mm-hmm.
Just so we're all clear on Chase's wife.
Yeah.
And you got the it girl.
Yeah, I did. And listen, I was, again, like with work, I was determined to get her from day one. You know, I was, of course, you know, I was down here, I had my fun, whatever, but you know, she was, you know, when I saw her, I go, that's going to be my wife one day. And that almost fell apart because she was playing hard to get. And so I gave her like one more shot. I said, listen, I'm going to give you one more shot. And if you don't want to do this, if you don't want to pursue this, then let's just go our separate ways. And then she's like, no, let's pursue this.
She's like, no, I'm just kidding. Come on, let's go. Just joking. Sorry.
Listen, sometimes you got to put your balls on the table to be like, what you gonna do?
That's
or
true.
your boobs.
That's true.
Put your balls or your boobs.
Put them out.
There's all these different situations. Like, what if it went one way
or
the other? Like, what if I got that job in Philly?
Oh my God.
What if something happened in that station and I got a job there? None of this would have happened. I would have never met you guys.
No. I mean, that's the weirdest part about getting older is just those what if situations because you don't even realize that you're at the fork in the road to where it's either choose this option, this ending or this ending. And you don't even realize until you can look back and be like, holy crap, what if I had made the other decision?
Yeah. Sometimes it's too much.
Listen, I'm just happy I'm not like a bartender at Applebee's or something like that. Or
even though we love our bartenders at Applebee's,
I do like Applebee's.
Sling up them drinks. But so much of your life would not have happened if you wouldn't have made that decision. If you would have been a bartender in New Jersey, your life would have been in a completely different way.
Yeah. I'm reminded of that every morning, every time, you know, my baby Austin wakes up and I look at him and I go, that is a product of everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Big picture.
It's the big picture thing. And it's just so incredible, man. Just the last day on Hot, it was emotional for many reasons. And it was, for those of you listening and watching, it was New Year's Eve was my last day.
Yeah.
And, you know, it sucks because the last year I was on air and I didn't, you know, all this happened so quickly. I didn't know this was going to be my last year. I had planned for this, but I didn't think it was going to happen, you know, right now. So it just sucks that my last year was, you know, with the pandemic going on, no one really in the building.
Right.
You know, I miss all those like side conversations having, you know, I had with you guys and just the all around ambiance of a radio station.
Yeah.
So it was just really different for this last year. And it was really hard the last day. I just kind of going through memory lane and thinking of like the first day. I remember the first day walking into the studio and doing the night show and super scared, but super excited. And it was my last day. And I'm like, wow, this is it, you know? So, man, it's crazy how all this, you know, it just feels like it just went by so quickly.
It does.
It's just
in the blink of an eye.
In the blink of an eye. And I got to meet so many great people, like all the experiences I had, you know, with my, you know, endorsement with Bud Light. You know, I'm so thankful for Melanie Martin and where she has taken me with my career and you guys working with all of you. I mean, you guys are super talented, you know? So and I listen to you guys. I go, wow, these guys are really, really good. And seeing Scotty just going up the ranks.
That's
really
cool.
quickly.
All right.
I kind of like see what, you know, Scotty's kind of doing what I did back in the day. Like just working hard, doing everything you can possibly do to stand out. And Scotty's a great product of that. You know, he's already in the studio. Look at it. He's manning the board right now.
Yeah. We totally switched positions in the morning show. Thank you, Ari.
I had to.
That's fine. Thank you, Ari. But like as he's gotten better and learned and soaked up everything that we've been teaching him, we're like, all right, we're going to put the trust of you pushing the buttons, which
that's a big trust.
Big old control freak, girl. And that was very hard for me to do.
Yeah.
But he's now there making, and he's going to look back in, you know, however many years and be like, remember when?
Well, that's what's so weird about hearing this. Cause like, all I'm thinking is like, oh my God, like that's like, I'm there, that story. Like, okay, here I am. I am like looking at my future story and being like, Wow.
I remember seeing Scotty. I don't remember the exact day I met you, but man, what was it? I saw you at an event. I go, that guy's really good. Like we can, we can replicate him and, make a bunch of Scotties. Like that's exactly what a radio station needs. He was out, he was, having conversations with people, really repping hot. And I was like, man, he's good. And I could see him, working hard to, you want to be in promotions, if you're really serious about radio, promotions is a great stepping stone.
Absolutely.
You don't want to be in promotions forever unless you want to be in promotions and be a promotions director or, anything of that sort. But it's a stepping stone. You get, you're in there for a little bit, you get really good at it, but you're also working on your next goal in radio, and that's programming or, or sales or something like that. So I, seeing Scotty in promotions and then jumping up to programming, that was just reminded me of me back in the day. And so you just got to keep working hard. The thing is, a lot of people don't see what happens behind the scenes. A lot of people that, that listen to me, family, friends, they're like, oh, you're just on the radio. When I was after, you're just on the radio for like 4 hours and you leave, right? I'm like,
no. Bitch, you don't know.
No.
You don't know.
Was it like that? Maybe for a little bit back in the day.
Right.
Oh yeah, back in the day.
But now it's just so much more involved.
So much more.
It's not like, the lavish 4 hours on the radio and I'm out the door. There's so much more to that, especially for me in the last like 5 years. I was on the air and that's how I, picked up graphic design again.
Yeah.
I wanted to, we're talking about all these big promotions on Hot. And I was like, I want to design stuff that really matches the promotion or event we're doing on the air. We're making it sound big on the air. Let's make it look big.
Right.
So I just started kind of going back into graphic design a little bit, working with Photoshop and Adobe programs. And it's been 5 or 6 years since I've been doing that. And just like everything, just like anything you do, you just work at it every single day.
Right.
I was very self-taught. So I learned a lot of things on YouTube. I took some workshop classes for Adobe and now I'm in the position that I'm in right now. I just got hired to corporate, essentially,
to have the synergy for all of our different markets and loop us in on whatever you're doing.
It's cool that we did that because as a company, because that's obviously the way, like there's so many things headed that way. Why would you not need digital content, not just creators, but people who make things look good and idea people and like rollout people. And it's like, if a company isn't doing that, why?
You're behind.
You're so behind. Yeah. So the cool thing is now I get to work with not only, you guys here in Tampa, but all our markets that CMG has. So I'm, before I was working with 6 radio stations, maybe 10, considering, Orlando and Jacksonville, but now I'm working with 60 radio stations.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
So
amazing.
it's, these vary from rock stations to country to, stations like ours, like Hot.
Nice.
Hip hop stations.
Hey.
So there's all different types of formats that I'll be working with. And I'm not the only graphic designer in this, synergy group. There's another graphic designer. Everyone essentially in the group is a graphic designer to some point, but me and this other girl are the graphic designers. So we'll be the lead on a lot of the, shows that eventually when shows do come back after the pandemic, we'll be, that team behind every show, what it's going to look like, the logo, all that kind of stuff.
Now, when you say show, you mean like live event show?
Just like I would say, we don't really have shows on Hot.
Next big thing,
next big thing.
For like we have a sister station, 97X, whose big thing is next big thing, and it's like legit, like bands come.
I was
and
going
like
to say Summer Jam, but
You know what? I feel like one day.
Don't bring it up, Miguel. Get pissed.
I'm sorry. No, we have to talk about that.
That was what it was.
That is literally, and this is all we're going to say about it because we have to get permission to talk about it. But one of the most annoying things about our industry happened with a big event that we were doing a few years ago. And we couldn't talk about it. And it was just awful and gut-wrenching. And it's like left this sour spot in my mind for a few artists. And none of this makes sense if you're listening right now. But just
can you
know,
say it was on and then it wasn't? Is that too much?
Yeah.
There was an event. It was
a
going to be on.
It was a Liam pain in the ass.
But then it wasn't. I didn't even remember that was it. I just don't like this one particular girl. It's not
fine.
even her fault.
No, listen. There's
Her
something that
fault.
happened a few years ago that was very painful for all of us that we couldn't talk about publicly.
We couldn't talk about
Right,
it. That's why it was painful.
And that's why we always say we're different from most morning shows, because we will literally tell you everything out of all the rules that, you learn as a baby DJ. If this is how you operate, we break all those rules and we're like, well, let's just spill our guts about this. And this was the one time when management said you are absolutely not allowed to talk about it, not even on the podcast. And that was the most painful few months for me after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, what I want to do is all of us to sort of go around, and before you get to say your final goodbye, Chase, and all of us give like our favorite Chase memory or situation. I'm going to start because I always tell the story about how when you started here, Chase, Holly and I were across the street at a defunct radio station, Play 98.7.
Play that wah-wah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
There we go.
That was Play 98.7.
That was our radio station. And I remember I would always look at Hot 101.5 at the time because y'all were the station that had billboards everywhere and you had parties. And I remember one time
we had that corporate money.
You did. Billboards everywhere. And like literally, I will never forget this. We had been here because we started August 1st of 2011.
Okay.
And it was January. Ooh. And so we had just found out that our radio station was like on the bubble after 6 months.
Bubble. I didn't know what that meant. I was like, what? And Miguel's like, they just said they're going to fire us.
Yeah,
I was like,
they're yeah.
What?
I was like, there's no way for us to get anywhere in the ratings in 6 months. Radio just don't work like that,
No,
especially if you're a new show, a new station. So we were like giving it all we got, like trying to like consult our mentors and think of big promotions, do whatever we could to get a footing in the ratings. And I felt like we were finally had a good traction going. And I remember we were live tweeting the Grammys that year. And as we're live tweeting the Grammys, the first commercial break was a damn commercial for Hot 101.5.
No.
And I was like, I'm done!
I do not remember that. It's vaguely in the back. Maybe it's trauma.
Hey, was the music like Havana Brown, We Run the Night or something?
It was.
Probably.
No, it was Rihanna.
Like LMFAO, Party Rock.
We found love
in a hopeless place.
Yes. Because
And by the way, we were today's best hits without the rap.
Oh, that's a lot to fit in like a 7-second intro.
Can we all look back and be like racist?
Racist.
But anyway. So, but I remember when you came on, and I just remember because I would follow everything that Hot did, being very jealous.
Oh. And
I was like, who is that beautiful mulatto skinned Italian man coming here? Is that, I don't know, brown skin, olive skin,
cocoa, caramel.
Now, let me tell you, this is the minute when I was like, I want to meet this Chase. You were doing a remote, and this is sad. I remember all this.
Well, you have a very good memory right now.
By the way, I was also like 40 pounds lighter. So,
but you look good.
Girl, we were all young then. Girl, look good. Yeah,
this is before the Bud Lights.
That's fine. But you were sitting on like one of those big beach chairs at Postcard Inn, I believe, and you had your shirt off and your little white watch on.
G-Shock.
And I was like, hey, Chase, how you doing?
Wait, you were there at the postcard?
No, this is on his Instagram.
Stalking his Insta.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
that was in your head.
Yeah, that was in my head. So just know, Chase, when we finally, 3 years later got the job here, I was actually nervous to meet you because I was like, I don't stalk this man's Instagram, found out all about his life, and now we're about to be coworkers. But
I met you before that, though. You were at one of our parties at Jackson's.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you.
This
and
is after we got fired.
After we got fired, Miguel was like putting himself in everywhere that was radio.
You weren't there, right?
No,
I was there. I never did shit.
You were there wearing like a purple shirt, black vest.
Yes, you remember me. It was your New Year's Eve party.
You had a fro?
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
It was horrible.
It was, a New Year's Eve party. That's right.
Wow.
And I was like,
with Nick Cannon. It was a Nick Cannon thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when we got the job here, I was so nervous. I was like, I wonder if like Chase is going to be like one of those like douchebags. But you could not have been more gracious and more friendly. And you know how like when you start a new job and everyone's like, hey, welcome. And you don't know if it's sincere. You would come back to our office after we started and be like, are y'all okay? Are you doing? Do you want to go to lunch? Let me help you. And you could not have made the transition for us back into Tampa any more better, any more easier. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. That means a lot coming from you, Miguel.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's it's a family here at Hot.
Yeah.
It was a family. It's been family since day one. So I wanted to keep that family mentality when you guys got here. And I know, even though you were here in Tampa before, I know what it feels like to be away from, what and be away from family and friends and have to constantly move around.
It's tough.
It's tough. That's what radio is. And that's why I feel so fortunate that I was here for 9 years.
Yeah.
That's, I don't know, 20 years in radio years, right? I mean,
that's huge in our industry.
I was going to say, that's really
that
unheard
long.
of.
No.
Yeah.
It is. It's a long time. So I'm just super grateful to be here for such a long time, to get to know you guys. And I wanted just to make sure that when you guys got here, that we kept that family mentality, that I just kept checking back because I wanted to make sure that you guys were okay. And I understood what you were going through.
And thank you so much for that.
You're welcome.
Scott?
For me, it's fun now kind of being around the building for probably like 2 years now. And there's people that have been in my corner for the entire time. And Chase, you have always been one of the people that have been in my corner. And so the things I think about, like, one, because I started off on the street team, I was working events, and I remember because y'all do what I wanted to do. Y'all were living the dream that I wanted to do. And I remember watching Chase do what we would call remotes, like being at an event live, talking on the mic, and just being in awe of, like, dude, that dude's got swagger. Or moving into transition and actually eventually being in the studio after we were done with the show and getting to just kind of hang out with Chase while he was doing his show and getting to talk with him there. And then one cool time is we got to work an event together where, like, Miguel and Holly, you couldn't be at an event, but it was Chase and I hosting this event together.
Is that Franklin Manor?
Yes.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yeah. I remember the two of you were like holding it down.
And it was a blast, like legit a blast. We just ran the night and just had a great time, just having fun on the mic, having fun hanging out with people that came out to hang out with us. And it was just so fun that it speaks to your character as a person, of just somebody that, one, always was there for support, like always. But then somebody that just gives off such good energy. And I love people that are just, they're a good energy person, bring good vibes, and that's you.
Good vibes only.
Literally that. And so that meant so much to me, because I remember coming into this building, and obviously this is my first radio thing ever, any real job in my life. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what people I was going to meet. I didn't know how people were going to look at me or view me. And it felt like you understood who I was. Like, you understood the position I was stepping into and my character as a person. And that helps so much in just trying to climb the ladder of this career, of life, and being like, you know what? Like, he gets it. He understands. He supports it. And that means the world. And it's honestly a big reason of why I am still here, why I'm able to continue to climb, because of that continuous support.
Thanks,
so I
appreciate those words. And listen, I've been rooting for you since day one, behind the scenes. I just know how much of a team player you are, how hard you work, and how really super talented you are, man. A lot of these things in radio, people go to school for radio, to learn the technical stuff, but you're born with talent. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. You can't teach that.
No.
So, you got a front row seat, man. You got what am I trying to say? You have already an advantage because you were born with this talent. You can easily teach someone how to push buttons.
Oh yeah.
Can't teach talent. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that, man. I really do. And I will still be your number one fan. I'll still be rooting for you.
Thank you.
Seriously, keep working hard, man. There's gonna be times where you're just like, I want to give up. Like, no one's watching, no one's listening, but someone always is. All right. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Chase. Thank you.
Holly?
Okay. So I've been thinking about this, and I have two different parts of the spectrum. First, a fun tidbit about Chase that I really, really enjoy that's work related. And that is that this is before COVID times, when we had meetings actually together. Any meeting that we were ever be in, Chase would have to come in and turn the light off and be like, ambiance.
Vibes.
Vibes.
This bitch spent I believe it was a Christmas break, putting a roof over the cubicle that he had, putting up like little twinkle lights so that his like workspace was #vibes, #ambiance.
Fluorescent lights are not a good thing in my life.
No, Chase was not having any of it. Like he would, I don't know. I probably made this up in my head, but I just picture you with like a hammer, like being like, we're not doing that. And this was like years ago.
Yes.
So I just really enjoy like him bringing the creativity that he always has into the workspace, which he did on the air, which he did with the graphic design. Dealing with all of the different program directors that we've had over the years and how we've all had to kind of shift and pivot. Chase, I always feel like you did it with such grace and such class.
Without complaining.
Right. Right.
Without complaining, unlike us.
Oh, God, we're the worst. We're some whiny bitches. And Chase is over here trying to be like, come on, guys.
He's like, come on, we're good. Everything's good. We
always has like the even if Chase ever would complain about something, he'd be like, yeah, it's been a little rough. But you know what? You got to look at the bright side.
It's great.
I love that. And then just on a personal note, so I don't know how I can only share part of the story. But basically, I had a situation happen to me about 2 years ago now where I needed someone, and I didn't even know I needed someone. I needed someone to basically to help me, to help my child, and save that part of my life in a minute, for a minute. And that was Chase. And I'm going to get emotional. But it's like my life kind of like wrecked for a minute. And my kid suddenly didn't have someone to bring her to school. Like, obviously, I do the morning show. I can't drive Maya to school. And, she was in kindergarten at the time. And so I was like, I first of all, I didn't even think about that part of my life in that moment because my life fell apart. But somewhere in the back of my head, I realized, oh, I'm out of luck. Like, what? I don't know. And it was so far down on the list of priorities, but it was at the same time a big priority because come Monday morning, what are you going to do? Like, someone's got to drive her to school. Ain't going to be me. Ain't going to be my mom. So what? Chase texted, maybe called. I don't know. It's very fuzzy, but all I know. Yeah, and I was going to say,
I probably
didn't call it. Pretty sure Chase texted was like, hey, I can bring Maya to school. Just FYI, in case you haven't thought about that. Damn. And I was like, and I hate putting people out. Like, I don't like to need help. But Chase texted and was like, hey, I can take Maya to school. And I was like, okay. And I felt so bad saying okay, but at the same time, I was like, I needed that. So, and I didn't want it to be like his burden only. So like I ended up, it was like, I had a neighbor also that was willing to help at that moment and like pitch in. But I couldn't believe that someone would be so nice as to volunteer to take my kid to school.
Yeah. And Maya is adorable. And what you really don't know is I was actually training for my first kid. So
I thought that, like, I was like at the time, and after we kind of got past that hump of me being like, no, I don't want help. It's fine. No, I do need help. Please help me. And you started, and like the days would go by, I'd be like, how was it? Cause she can be a handful. Like, what's going on? And like what you guys found, like
a squirrel
or badger or like a raccoon or something. Yeah. That was like the topic of conversation. And so when I would get Maya after school, I'd be like, how was school? She's like, well, I got to tell you about this squirrel that, Mr. Chase and I saw or whatever. And I was like, oh, God.
I'll tell you, and I'm not there yet, but kids really open up your mind.
Yes.
Like we had these conversations and my brain would go somewhere where it just hasn't been in a while. And I just can't wait for that time of my life when Austin gets that age. And he just asks these questions. He'll just,
oh, yeah.
It's a different perspective. Like
kids just blow your mind and they make you appreciate the various aspects of life. Like who even cares about your drive into work or in this case, the drive to school?
Yeah.
But like so many different things can come out of it. And so it speaks to your character, kind of like what Scott was saying, probably also what Miguel was saying. It speaks to the character and who you are as a human that you would even think to jump in like that. Like, so many people, it wouldn't have even crossed their mind.
Well, we say hot fam and we're really family.
That's true.
Right.
That's what it is. We're here for each other. I don't want to call you guys colleagues. That's just dumb.
Right.
No.
You guys are friends. You guys will always be friends.
Right.
And family. We've been invited each other to parties and
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
Heck yeah.
We drank
Oh,
with we
yeah.
drink with each other. Well, not now, but we
No,
Right.
back in
We've
the
done a
day.
lot
When
of-
we could.
Right, exactly. We've done a lot of fun things with each other that not a lot of people can say that.
Right.
They
So,
don't. The last thing they want to do is hang out with their coworkers.
Right.
Yeah.
but we like it.
Yes, we like it.
Man, I remember one time at the Hot Haunted Yacht, I don't remember what costume you had on, but it was very
Oh,
form-fitting.
dear.
Oh, wow.
And I remember I
Oh,
made
it's my Bud Lightyear.
Yes, I was
oh,
like,
that.
I was like, Chase, you got
Yeah, that's what
and
you
then
said.
I think you were like, all right, well, I'm gonna get another cocktail. Thanks, Miguel. And I was like, sorry.
I think I was
Oh, my
Hashtag
God.
Hot fam. Hashtag hot fam.
Hashtag hot fam, girl. We hit it together. Well, Chase, thank you.
Thank you for being you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you for enriching Tampa Bay on the radio for the past 9 years. And now you're just enriching them in a whole different way. So when you see really cool graphic things from us, from Hot 101.5, no, Chase had a hand in it.
Mhm.
So thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're so welcome. No, I'm excited for this next chapter. It's already started.
Yeah.
I'm here in the building still. And already working out, we're working with other markets and really planning for first quarter and all these things. And I'm just super excited for this next chapter. And listen, I'm sure people are thinking, well, is he gonna, miss being on air? Like, yeah, of course I will.
Right.
And the good thing about this whole thing is I'm not quitting.
Right.
Yeah.
I
You're
didn't
still
get
with
fired.
This whole thing. You're
Yeah.
still with us.
Ideally, I got a promotion, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone
Mhm.
wants a promotion in
Yes.
their career.
Mm-hmm.
So the good thing is, thanks to our PD Will, we had a conversation. He's like, listen, man, the door is always open. Whenever you get that itch, once I can kind of really get a rhythm with this new job and see what it really entails, like if I get an itch, I'm like, hey, I'd like to pick up a Saturday afternoon shift or something. Maybe I'll do that.
Yeah.
Right.
I just, right now, I think it's important for me to focus on this next chapter.
Absolutely.
Because out of all this whole group of people that were chosen throughout CMG, I was the only on-air person.
Mm.
So I really want to dedicate all my time to this and make sure that I'm taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is.
Right.
So I'll surely miss being with you guys on air. Listen, you guys are, I'm your number one fan. And I don't know if you know, but I log on to your Facebook Live in the morning.
Oh,
I've seen you pop
Yay!
in.
Do you see me?
Yeah.
Do you see my name? Okay, I didn't know that. Because I do
I
my,
can't see that kind of thing on my side. So that's
Okay.
really cool.
yeah, I'm on my morning walks and the notification always pops up and I always log in.
oh, thank you for adding
yeah,
a view to
so
us.
I
We
like-
appreciate that.
I love that. And you guys are always doing that's the best thing ever is not only hearing you guys, but now seeing you and just seeing the relationship you have with each other. It's just so genuine.
Mm.
And that's why you guys are so good because you're just speaking the truth on the air. You're funny. Sometimes, you share stories of laughter and sometimes sadness. And that's what makes you the best, I think, morning show in Tampa Bay. And that's why people love you so much. I've seen you guys at events and I'm there and people are like, oh, where's Miguel and Holly? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm here.
Oh my God.
He's like, I've been here
Yeah.
longer than them, bitch.
Frustrating. I know. God, I know. Yes. Yes.
Oh my
But
god.
you can just truly see how much people in Tampa Bay love you guys.
Mm.
Aw.
And, I just can't wait to see, what you guys are going to do in the next 5-10 years. I mean, you're going to be syndicated, I think, in my personal opinion.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yeah. You guys
Well,
are
let's
only
hope
going,
so, girl.
you
'cause-
guys are only going up. So
Yes, I'll add some money to
We
your
get that money.
son's account, girl. When we get that money. Scott, what's your social media?
At Scott Tavlin, SCOTTTAVLIN.
Holly.
Radio Holly on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.
Mine is Miguel Fuller, MIGUEL, FULLER, everywhere. And for the very last time, Chase, or do you want people to find you on social media?
oh yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not posting anything cool anymore. I mean, I mostly post pictures of my baby, but why not? I'm
Yeah.
just showing off.
Yeah,
So
Absolutely, as you
it's-
should.
Chase me down on Instagram, and I don't have Twitter anymore. I can't deal. I
Yeah.
can't keep up with social media like that.
Too much. Listen,
Uh,
you're a grown adult now, so you have better things to do
Yeah.
than sit on Twitter.
And it
like
really
us.
does get more difficult when you have a kid. It
Absolutely.
just does. You can't keep up the same way.
No.
So you have better things to do.
Yeah. Hey
I
guys,
love it.
thank you so much for having me here.
Thank
Seriously.
you, Chase.
Thank you, Chase. If you need some graphics, hit him up. Chase me down on Insta.
Catch up with the previous episodes of the Miguel and Holly Uncensored podcast from Hot 101.5.
Just hit up the Hot 101.5 app, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
Search Miguel and Holly Uncensored.